Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. This is your host, Eric Sequeira, a.k.a. Mr. Honest, and today we're doing something a little bit different. This episode is called, as you see, Between Now and Doomsday, the Gauntlets in Your Hands. Why? Well, because Marvel's slate Between Now and Avengers Doomsday, coming out in December 2026, yes, you heard it, over a year and a couple months. The slate is stacked, but it's not that stacked. There's not that many kegs in the fire. There will be plenty of things for us to cover, which we'll talk about, that are new. But there's going to be a lot less new and a lot more revisiting and analyzing things that we haven't touched on, or even careful revisits. I want to know, if you're listening to this even months after this episode or on the first day, your input always sincerely matters, and I really do mean that. Email me, MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. and let me know what lights your fire. Is there anything you heard in this episode you really want to hear sooner than later? Is there something that I forgot to mention? Something in the Infinity Saga you'd like me to revisit since I covered it 4 years ago, like the Phase 1 movies or origin episodes of every single movie Iron Man was in, Iron Man-centric episodes, stuff like that. MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. There is no bad answers here. If it's something I can't or don't feel like covering, I'll probably email you and even let you know why. This is about us and our journey and how we want to prepare to see one of the most ultimate anticipated movies of all time, Avengers Doomsday. And we'll have a year after that to revisit other things during Secret Wars. The lead up to Secret Wars, which will be all of 2027. We got a long time ahead of us. However, those months will fly by, and we may not regret what we listened to and what we created in this podcast between now and then. It's a lot of content, but there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, and the multiverse is expanding, meaning movies that were from the Sony universe, like Venom. We haven't talked about those. There's plenty of things we could talk about, but let's go down a little bit of a roadmap and lay out what we could start with. So the roadmap to Doomsday. Let's lay out some of the options on the table here from the very beginning. Stuff we still haven't covered. Still on deck for a revisit is the Thunderbolts. I might have done an episode or two about it when it came out. I rewatched it about 2 weeks ago. So my perspective has already shifted, which is exactly why revisits matter. I'm very interested in the context of Avengers Doomsday, how the new Avengers and the regular Avengers are going to meet / clash with that Thunderbolts post-credit scene. So I'd like to talk a little more about that team. Eyes of Wakanda, expanding the Black Panther world in animated form. I've heard decent things about this, but not too much. It's something I've really wanted to watch. I just haven't gotten around to it. I did jump on Marvel Zombies because that was one of my most anticipated. I really loved it. If you haven't listened, we got our most recent episode covering the whole series. We got 2 most recent episodes covering the What If episode that leads into this series. So go check it out if you haven't yet. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't know if you remember this. You probably do, unless you haven't watched it. We covered the first season of this. This is an animated Spider-Man show. It takes place in the MCU adjacent. So, Civil War is happening. The background events of Infinity War are soon probably to happen in this world, unless that doesn't happen. But the way they're setting it up, it's during the time of Civil War. However, instead of Tony Stark coming in to talk to Peter and get him on his side as Spider-Man, we have Norman Osborn, a new take on the character, and he's very badass. And we get Harry Osborn in this story as well. They're an original take on the show. He's a lot like MCU Spidey, but he has his differences. So that's going to be a season 2 coverage. I'm expecting early next year because I haven't heard anything about season 2, but it is coming. This December, a Hollywood meta project that's either going to be a wild ride or a hidden gem. Or a complete flop to you guys. I don't know yet. I like to give everything a chance. Wonder Man comes out in December, so we will be covering that. And that's pretty much like the slate of what's being released through this year, through what I can see. Next year, we have Punisher movie, Spider-Man, Brand New Day. That's really what we're climbing towards, if not Doomsday. However, Doomsday is the big one. So we can prepare for Spider-Man all we want. We'll watch we'll cover all the Spider-Mans again. We'll talk about Tom Holland movies, and if there's something you'd be like, okay, we talked about this too much, send me the email, MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. Rate this show. while you're at it and give it a thumbs up or a good rating so we can get the name out there and I can live my dream of becoming a successful podcaster. I'm not going anywhere. Another thing we could go into, which I've rarely considered, is Blade, especially after Marvel Zombies and just knowing that Blade was in Deadpool and Wolverine, the official Blade. The original trilogy we could talk about, and the MCU reboot as well. The Daywalker is officially back in play, so I think it might be a great time going through the Blade movies, the Blade trilogy. It's my least familiar property, so I'm very excited to go check out those movies because they got a big fan base. All right, so another thing we're going to have is retrospects and also revisits. I touched on that a little bit, but it's not just about what's next. It's also about what deserves a second look, the Defenders era. This has been my hardest area, to be honest with you. Each Defender has their own series. Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. Just to start. Well, that's really all of them, I'm pretty sure. And it's rumored that the whole Defender squad will return in Daredevil Season 2. And it is also strongly rumored that Daredevil Season 2 will go right into Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's exciting, but it's also, oh my God, catch-up time. If you were here a few weeks ago, we decided to cover all of the episodes of the Defenders era as much as we can so we could talk about Punisher, Daredevil, all that stuff before Season 2, ideally, but if anything, before Spider-Man or the Punisher's special episode. It would take us well over a year, which we do have the time for, but for me, these shows, these Netflix era, awesome epic shows, they're meant for binge. They're meant for a binge watch. And I think it would be more productive, and I've laid this out before, for us to do seasonal recaps of each season of all these shows. I'm not as keen on Luke Cage and Iron Fist. However, it wouldn't hurt to do it. Send me an email if you'd like to hear a little bit more of a recap of those shows. My main priority is Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones. Punisher being maybe the most anticipated because he's the one that's actually confirmed to have a huge part in Spider-Man, and he's having his own mini special movie type thing on Disney Plus sometime next year. So should we go the full distance with Luke Cage and Iron Fist, give them their seasonal recaps? That's just 4 more episodes. I won't rewatch all of these series. I did watch nearly all of them except Jessica Jones Season 3 and Iron Fist Season 2. So I may revisit those for our, let's say our Daredevil Season 2 recap. I'll be honest, I'll probably watch a couple of recap videos on the internet as I've seen it a couple times just to refresh my memory. And we'll go over all the main points like we did for the first season. I have a lot of fun doing those, and plus you don't have to go back and rewatch. Or if you do, you binged it, you get an after show. You don't have to cover every episode in painstaking detail. It's a thing I've learned over the course of these last 4 years making podcasts and for Marvel Maniac and Magic Muggle now. I had a podcast called Mr. Honest, so that was kind of like my pre-era podcast. It's all gone off the internet. I deleted it at a time where I wasn't too happy with how I thought it sounded. I wish I didn't, but I did, and it's okay. We are in the definitive honest verse now, and that's what matters. The Spider-Verse films, Sony's animated crown jewels, arguably redefining superhero storytelling, and referenced within the second movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, is Earth 19999, and I think that's the universe. Some people say 616, but I think from Sony's perspective, the MCU is Earth 19999. I think it's 4 nines. So the point is, these movies are canon. There could be a really crazy, imagine Who Framed Roger Rabbit, type animation, like Miles Morales could show up in Secret Wars animated, just like he is. Because the animations are like 3D and 2D comic strips. Some of the visually nicest movies for Spider-Man, and great things for us to talk about in terms of Spidey in general. Speaking of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, all the Spider-Man movies, we could do rewatches. We've done one episode well over a year ago now with our good friend Dustin covering the trilogy of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. However, I think it would be really cool to go back into each movie before Brand New Day and talk about them separately because there's a lot to them, and I got a feeling we're going to be seeing some of these characters again in Secret Wars. Secret Wars is going to be the biggest superhero movie of all time. Doomsday is going to be leading up to that, ideally as a huge springboard for that. So Doomsday needs to make the landing, and if it does, Secret Wars will be the swan song of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, causing a reset and setting it up for new perfect stories with our favorite heroes. So, yes, I do want to talk about all the Spideys. I think it would be really important for Andrew to get his flowers. You know what I mean? Like, he is an underrated Spider-Man. He's grown on me since his first movie came out. And I'll tell you why I didn't like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, because they weren't in the MCU. He could have been, in my opinion, back then, when it was coming out, he could have been in the Avengers, or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man could have been in the original Avengers. We got Nick Fury even in the deleted post-credit scene talking about Spider-Man and X-Men. It's an alternate version of the Iron Man post-credit scene telling him about the Avengers initiative. So there was a world in another multiverse where those universes combined after Iron Man 1. It didn't go that way. So now we are here looking at all these other Spider-Man movies, and they're now retconned into the MCU via the multiverse, like so many other awesome projects. I think this is brilliant. Spider-Man 2, for example, Sam Raimi released 2.1, I think with a little bit of extra footage. Debatably maybe the best Spider-Man movie ever made, and that deserves its own episode. I would like to get TJ and Dustin back in here for a lot of these, if not some of these. When I say a lot, at least more than we've had them here over the last, 100 episodes since Ryan Airy made us that epic visit. I'm still working on some cool guests. I got some people halfway in the bag. I got ideas on how to get other guests. I'm trying to pick carefully. I'm trying not to I don't want to knock down Ryan Airy's door and make him think we need him for every 100 episodes. But I really, really would like to ask Ryan to come back on the show before Doomsday. So maybe you can help me decide what should we talk to Ryan about next time he comes back on the show, if he decides to. Another person, Colton Ogborn. I might be saying his name wrong. He's another guy from Screen Crush. He has his solo videos, really good theories. Go check him out. I love Eric Foss from New Rockstars. I love Jessica Clemens from New Rockstars. I think they would be fantastic to have. There's this guy, Tommy, who shows up on Screen Crush. He's a funny guy. I love his perspective. So I like the shared... I'll be honest. Okay, Paul from Heavy Spoilers. I'll just say it. I talked to him. He said he's open to coming on the show and talking about stuff. That makes me really excited. If you don't know Heavy Spoilers, go check them out on YouTube. He does all sorts of video coverage. I don't know how he does it all. He has so many things he goes on and covers, along with all the MCU, and he's got great takes on it. He is someone who I've actually been in contact with on Twitter. He said to message him around November. I'm just letting you guys know. It's kind of exciting for me, and I want you to check him out because he's most likely going to come as a guest on the show. So go listen to Heavy Spoilers, Screen Crush, New Rockstars, all of those corner points. They're not competitors. We are one big Marvel giant content creation family. And me being at the bottom, not having the least affiliation with all those channels, I'm making that statement. I'm like the Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming jumping into the MCU coverage multiverse, and we're going to get the hosts together. We're going to do panels. We're not going to do panels. I don't think we're going to have panels, but we're going to do some cool stuff. I have another area of episodes beyond the obvious that we can start covering. There's some other cornerstones of the Marvel multiverse worth considering. The first big one for me, X-Men 97. Already feels like canon, and Marvel Animation deserves a little bit more spotlight. People are pretty critical of Marvel Animation, but then shows like Marvel Zombies come around. I think the community split on this one, Marvel Zombies, because I loved it. And I mean, from what I heard, a lot of people did love it on Twitter, but I have seen some of the comments on Reddit, some other people saying it was underwhelming for them. It wasn't what they wanted. A lot of them are comic book fans, so the comic book does the zombies a little bit different. So it's mixed takes, but as a viewer, my personal take, Marvel Zombies, everything I hope to be and more. The thing is, X-Men 97 is going to be going on for seasons. So we already have one out, and there will be an episode that we do for the original X-Men animated series that leads into X-Men 97. My idea is to do 2 episodes for the prelude and the first season of X-Men 97. So right when X-Men 97 Season 2 shows up, we can cover it week to week. What are your thoughts on that? Once again, MarvelManiacPod at gmail.com. Leave a comment on YouTube if you're there. let me know. What are your thoughts? There's some Marvel one-shots we can go over. We never really talked about those, and they're kind of relevant. They're kind of fun. I Am Groot season 2. We never covered that. I went into great detail after a tough time in my life. I'm like, I'll start with I Am Groot, and I came back and I did like episode by episode for that. I had a lot of fun doing it. We'll probably just do season 2 in one episode. We did talk about Werewolf by Night, but in the spirit of Halloween, should we bring that up again? What do you guys think? It runs short, and people might miss this. This might be maybe a yearly talk about for us. It's a very Halloween movie, and maybe I'll watch it in full color or black and white. I don't know. We can see. And that Werewolf by Night is setting up future stories for the Midnight Suns, for example. That's probably going to start happening after Secret Wars, most likely. Some phase comfort rewatches, like a guided re-entry into the Infinity Saga itself with fresh eyes. The individual Guardians of the Galaxy movies, the individual Ant-Man movies. I covered both of those series in one episode, covering all of their appearances. I think it'd be fun to go back into those and talk about them one movie at a time. This all sounds like a lot, but we do have a lot of time. Even after Secret War, not after Secret Wars, that's too far ahead. After Doomsday, which is about a year or so away, I'm being, a year and a couple months, we're going to have things to go to as well. So I'm going to keep a close eye on all this stuff we're talking about here today, and your input matters. I mean that. One thing that I think will be really fun to cover, it might not, it technically is a multiverse, because you see this a version of Spider-Man in Across the Spider-Verse that looks just like Spider-Man from PlayStation, the video game. What a great game. If I can be honest with you, I've played the first one upwards of 15 times. I'm literally playing the game right. I just beat the main story, so I can have a playground of things to do and people to fight. I disabled for a while putting in special attacks, upgrading my stuff, because I'll be honest, I'm pretty good at this game at this point. It's like a cakewalk if you use all the arsenal that they give you as Spider-Man. So I try to make it a little tougher on myself on ultimate difficulty. I think talking about the story of those two games plus Miles Morales could lead into a greater discussion about what the MCU could do with these characters going forward, what Miles Morales will look like in live action if that happens. And I think, I'm going to be honest, it's bound to happen. And it'd be kind of fun to cover a video game for a change. Honestly, my favorite game of all time, and it goes right into the tone of Brand New Day. So I think we'll talk about those closer to Brand New Day and compare it to the movies and whatnot. A lot of fun options here. So here's our call to action. Where you come in. Which of these projects excites you most? Do you want to see street level grit with Daredevil and Punisher, cosmic nostalgia with Blade, animated Spidey, and X-Men, or something else I haven't mentioned? Email me, MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com between now and Doomsday. Don't hesitate if it's been 6 months, even if it's been a year. If you're hearing this episode, your opinion matters. Honestly, even after Doomsday, if you're going through the catalog, send emails, send ideas, because I love following what you'd want to hear, and I appreciate your time and your presence here. We're going to go over all the rest of the X-Men movies as well, all the way through Logan, and that's a lot of stuff, so I'm super stoked, and I want to try and keep it somewhat organized, but like the last few weeks, just kind of shooting random episodes left and right, it's been kind of fun, I'll be honest with you. So in closing, no matter what, this road to Avengers Doomsday is packed. And I couldn't be more excited, honestly. I could not be more excited to walk it with you. Thank you for listening to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. I'm your host, Eric Sequeira, a.k.a. Mr. Honest. Go to our link tree in the bio. Follow me on all your socials. Check out where else our podcasts are streaming. Listen to my Harry Potter podcast, Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter Aftershow. We're going through each chapter of the book week by week. 3 chapters, 2 chapters at a time. We're about to wrap up Chamber of Secrets. It's a good time. We're leading up to that new Harry Potter series that comes out sometime late next year. So remember this, the past is only the future with the lights on. We got this. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait until Doomsday, and let alone the ride, because that's what's important. We got to enjoy the ride. Until next time, my Avengers, disassemble.